This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here with Realty One Group Music City.
Hi, and Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team. And welcome back. It's Sunday evening.
Great to see you, Carey Ann.
So good to see you.
Happy Sunday evening, everybody.
Yes.
The show, is driven by your questions. Please send those questions to questions@talkmusiccity.com or hashtag TalkMusicCity.
Yes, and this show is also a podcast, and you can listen at your leisure. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Music, and others. You can also watch us on YouTube or my favorite, Facebook. Simply search The Talk of Music City.
I didn't know that Facebook was your favorite. It's my favorite, too.
It's right there. If you're over a certain age, Facebook is your favorite. Well, that's what I'm learning.
That's my favorite way to watch this show, I'll tell you.
Snappa and all these others, I think.
Who can keep up with all that?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Don't forget TikTok.
TikTok.
I don't even know what you're talking about over there.
Yeah, really.
I can't. I'm afraid when my 6-year-old comes to me and says, "Mommy," although right now she's like, "Can we edit that picture?" I'm like, "Excuse me," and she knows how to do all that. So there's a lot of social media things. But you know what? The newest and what we need to catch up on and have a refresher course on. The newest and latest social media platform that's going to be the next is coming back is going to be LinkedIn. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that, but I think LinkedIn probably provides as much or more value than any of them do.
Yeah. All the people out there, all the podcasts that I'm listening to, they want us prepared to really understand the ins and outs of LinkedIn. So that's a little tidbit.
There you go, folks.
There you go.
You heard it first here.
Although I'm just really, all I know is, upload and look at as Facebook. So when that goes down, I'm scared to know what happens in my world, I'm
just glad that I have people, that know that kind of stuff.
Humans. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You actually, it's so funny. I got invited to go and be part of a paperless committee for my company. A paperless committee. Oh. I said, do you know how old I am? Paperless is hard. That's like a full commitment. I said, I like my paper. I'm over 40. I like to see it, feel it, make sure it's there,
I do too.
When it's on a shared drive and it's, hidden. And so all of these folks that
you got to remember your password. I hate that.
Too many passwords,
Too many passwords.
Too many passwords. And so they all laugh at me because people on the committee, I said, well, let me ask you all of your ages because you're very passionate about this paperless thing. I said, let me ask all of your ages. And everybody was under a certain age. I was like, exactly. This is my point.
Exactly.
You come from a different world than I do. It's not going to be overnight. And then this lady's like, well, I was in your office. There was a lot of paper. I was like, I'm now 80% paperless. I said, we're committed here.
Give a guy a point there for
I know.
that.
I said, this is a big deal. So, and I know that, all mortgage firms and everybody, a lot of us should be going paperless because it's, saves the world, et cetera, et cetera.
I get it too. I do get it. But I'll never forget when Connie and I first started working together. It was my wonderful wife that helped us become paperless several years ago, or she became paperless. I still had my paper with me, but,
Sure.
But I came home one day after showing property and I get home and all of my files are in this pan in the driveway, and she just in front of me pours lighter fluid on them.
No, she doesn't.
And she lights them. I said, I've got $1 million listing in there. What are you doing? I thought I had lost everything.
Oh, my gosh.
And she'd already uploaded everything and put it wherever she's supposed to put it, I guess. And that was a rude awakening. That was probably 6 years ago or something like that.
Isn't that funny? So, yes. I've got my Facebook and my paper. That's basically, I'm over 40 when, huh? There's a joke there somewhere in the midst of it all. But thank you again for all of your questions. This episode, we're going to really start answering a lot of your questions. We've got many here that will keep us busy for the next hour.
We do. And before we get into questions, though, I got to talk about a topic that I'm passionate about, Carey Ann.
You're passionate?
I am passionate about a few things, yes.
Should we get the chairs ready to be thrown again? Or?
I'm going to start stomping around
I think it is a padded wall around here, right?
There should be. There needs to be.
It is now.
This is a pet peeve of mine, guys, and I'm sorry, we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but Jim and I were talking about, a headline we saw recently said, recession expected to hit Nashville real estate in 2020. This was put out a few weeks ago.
Oh.
This is BS, guys, okay? I'm going to be as polite as I can be, but this aggravates the heck out of me because what this is, you've heard me talk about how bad how disgusting iBuyers are, okay? And if you have an iBuyer company and you're local, God bless you, but I'm talking about the ones who are headquartered out of Seattle, Washington, or San Francisco, California, or whatever. They're literally strip mining communities by lowballing the homeowner who doesn't know better because they want the easy button, and they're taking that money and just literally, and the average of somewhere between $10 and $20 million a year is what one company, just one of them, has taken out of our community right here in Middle Tennessee.
Wow.
So it's alarming to me, and I think finally people are paying attention. I've been talking about this for over a year. When it happened to one of my clients over a year ago, I went on Channel 4 and I talked about, hey, this is what happened. My clients lost almost $30,000. This is what happened. Be careful of this company. I mentioned that company by name, and then I put it on social media, that show on Channel 4, and I immediately got reprimanded by some brokers saying, you can't talk like that because that's a local broker. Bull poop is all I'm going to say. I'm going to say that. I hope I can say that on air. Can you say that on air? I'm not sure.
I'm not even sure that's a word.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
You're good.
Well, these folks are not our friend as real estate professionals. They're not our friend. They're not our friend as consumers because they're flippers, guys. If you're approached by somebody paying cash, and it's a national firm, I don't care how national, they're there to make money off of you. They're there to serve their shareholders. They're not there to help you. Let's compare real quickly. I know we're going down a foxhole or a rabbit hole or somebody, so some
At this
kind
point,
of
a
hole
squirrel hole.
But I got to tell
Not
you,
sure what hole we're
this
down.
is important. Okay, I'm serious. I'm serious. Now, don't make fun of me right now.
Is there a rat hole?
This is definitely a rabbit hole.
Maybe it's a rabbit hole. I'm not sure what kind of hole it is, but it's not a good one. Here, listen to this real quick. Let's compare iBuyer with the value of Realtor. See, this is what aggravates me. The iBuyer is out there saying, as a whole, don't use the Realtor. You're going to pay a 6% commission or somewhere in that neighborhood. Let's say 5 to 7. Then let's use the number of 6. But they don't tell you that, well, I'm going to deduct, probably 20% from the sales price, but I'm not charging a commission. They're going to charge a, carrying charge, and what do we call it before? A doc fee.
Right?
Doc fee.
Yeah,
doc fee and all that kind of stuff. But here's some points I want everybody to remember, and then we'll get on to the questions, I promise, okay? I don't think enough people know about this, Carey Ann. In the last year, over 550 homeowners sold their home through this one company I'm talking about. Let's call them closed window. But only 29 of those homes went through MLS. In other words, their marketing is that
550.
effective. 550 in the first year. Okay?
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's alarming when you consider only 29 went through the hands of a realtor. The rest of them were bought directly from the consumer, and the consumer is selling them not knowing they just lost $20,000 or $40,000. Okay, so here's some really important keys. Let's compare the iBuyer and the realtor. Realtor sells the home and it costs less, which is 5 to 6% typically, and they receive a higher net amount. Now, the seller does. If the iBuyer sells the home, their fees are higher, 7 to 15%. Their net amount is lower. The seller's net amount is absolutely proven to be lower if they sell to an iBuyer. Remember, folks, they're a flipper. Realtor wants to sell the home at the highest price for their client. The iBuyer wants to buy it at the lowest price. I mean, think about these obvious points, but folks don't, is why I'm going to go through this one more time. Realtor has a fiduciary responsibility to their client, the buyer, or the seller. This is a big deal, guys. Remember this. Realtor has a fiduciary responsibility to the client, the buyer, or the seller. iBuyer, their fiduciary relationship is with who, Carey Ann?
Themselves?
The shareholders.
Oh.
Those shareholders that have invested in that money, they don't care about anybody else, okay? They
About
care
the dollar?
They care about no one else
The
except
netted bottom line?
Yeah, the netted bottom line that is reflective in the shareholders' yield, okay? The realtor sells the home, the money stays in the community. It pays for local mortgage, groceries, and other local businesses. iBuyer sells the home, the money goes to the iBuyer, typically in Seattle or San Francisco. In many cases, these iBuyers are literally strip mining the local economy, stripping the homeowners of millions of dollars of equity and cash input to their local communities.
Well, when you say it that way, that's so true because, you want to, they say buy local, right?
Right.
Stay local.
Let's support the local community.
Right.
When you sell to one of these iBuyers, let's call one closed window. I won't mention them by name, but guess where that money's going? It's not staying local.
Yeah.
It's not buying a local mortgage. It's not supporting the local grocery store or the hairdresser or whatever, okay?
Well, there's been iBuyers for years, right? I mean, going back probably 20 years, has been an iBuyer of some sort, right?
We buy ugly houses, those kind of things.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But now, they've taken the marketing campaign to a whole new level, right? I mean, when we talk about the best marketing is, to create curiosity and turn heads, and they've done that. They've done a great job of that, But it's really important, like you're saying, to just do your education and look at those numbers.
Look at the bottom line numbers, and remember, if they're buying it from you, they're going to sell it and make a profit. Otherwise, they don't have a business going on, and they're not going to buy it for a fair price. But what really got me aggravated, and the reason why I needed to share this is because this topic here, as a headline, is a manufactured news article, supposedly news article. It says national property market headed in a turbulent time if recession hits the sector early 2020.
2020.
And many economists have predicted a recession or negative economic growth. Bull poop again. That's not true. I mean, we're living in an environment that has still got enough inertia coming to Nashville that the market is still great.
So many people are moving here. And, with the expectation of so many more.
There's still 50 to 100 people moving here every single day. With that kind of inertia, we're not going into any sort of a tailspin. It might dip a little bit here and there, but it's not going to go into a bad space. I promise you that. So when you see these kind of things, folks, that look like news articles, believe me, trust me, this particular one I'm talking about, dependable home buyers of Nashville, shame on you. I'm going to say it because this person lives here. I'm going to say shame on it because it's not just the fact that they're buying homes at a wholesale price and flipping them. They're trying to create fear, and that's what their whole motive here is, and that's what's aggravating. They're trying to make the consumer think that the market here is bad, and it's not.
It is not. But when we come back, we're going to talk more maybe about flipping homes and many other questions. You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, The Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here, Realty One Group, Music City.
Hey, and Carey Ann with CMG Financial and My Mortgage Team, and welcome back.
Carey Ann, I know you get you're tired probably of me talking about how
I get tickled.
Upset I am about people being duped by these iBuyer companies, but I'm telling you, people got to pay attention. I don't want to see anybody ripped off. Our goal, as your goal is to help people make the most they can on their real estate investments, not get some goofball from Seattle, Washington, and no offense from anybody here locally from Seattle, Washington, but that's where this particular company is headquartered out of, and ripping people off here locally and send the goods back to their stockholders. I don't have a whole lot of compassion for them.
Yes, I can see that. And I can hear that in your voice. Yeah. But I mean, I think you are passionate. I think we want to make sure we educate the consumer and have them make the right decision. When they do make that decision, they may feel it is the right decision for them, and hopefully they pause and they take time to educate themselves before they move forward with that.
Every once in a while, there is a reason to go ahead and wholesale your home. Okay, sure. I get it. Things are not well, or the home is in rough shape and they just want to get it off their lap. But before anybody does that, please do yourself a favor and contact an experienced real estate broker or agent that knows what they're doing, or contact a couple of them and ask them for their strategy of helping you maximize your property without having to do anything to it. We have those kind of strategies in place, and we can help you do the same thing, only we'll help you at the same time hang on to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 of your equity rather than give it to someone else.
And I love what you were saying about keeping it local.
So
when you're working with the local real estate community, it just goes right back into our economy.
Absolutely.
Here, local economy.
And that's so relevant when it comes to getting a good mortgage person. You know this. One of my biggest pet peeves when I see, as a real estate experienced real estate agent, when I have multiple offers on the table on a property that we have listed, and I look at the mortgage aspect of it, because remember, folks, we're looking at more than just the number on the top of the contract. We're looking at the experience level of the real estate professional. We're looking at what type of deal it is, how clean it is, are there a bunch of weasel clauses? And one of the things that's most important to me is the mortgage company. Are they someone local,
right,
that has local accountability with the local real estate community, or are they somewhere, wherever, as one of these internet companies that they're trying to lure people by an eighth of a point or whatever the difference is.
Sure.
I mean, the cost of money is the cost of money, isn't it? Doesn't everybody pay the same?
Yeah. I had a call just recently. So I guess it was Friday, where this loan is supposed to close the beginning of next week, which would be tomorrow. And they are not going to be able to close it because it's a condo and they can't get the condo approved, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a new construction and I am the preferred lender. But this client decided they wanted to go to more of a national company that wasn't local, and they're not able to get the condo approved that they needed. And we would make the exception here locally, et cetera. And so that builder in the contract is going to charge them $150 a day because they missed that, the contract date. So
you can't blame the builder.
No, not at all. And they signed that, and sadly their expectation of that lender was to meet that closing date, and so this does happen often. So working with people that are local that can truly, sometimes we're not looking to you in the eye anymore because we don't see them, but you can hear the confidence in their voice. They're sharing with you a guarantee of close. They have a local reputation that always gets the job done.
But that's the key to it, Carey Ann, is that local accountability, that local reputation.
Right.
You know that you stand accountable to not just my office and other large offices that send you a lot of money, but every realtor around here,
right.
Every homeowner around here, because you have a stake in this. You're a homeowner here, right here in everybody's backyard, right here in Middle Tennessee. That comes with it a high level of responsibility and accountability, and clear intention that you want to help those that you're serving. Right,
and folks that really stay true to their word is ones that are probably more local.
Absolutely.
They're not going to be able to hide behind a phone or an email. I mean, I hear multiple stories where I just never got a call back or just never got an email back, and now they're calling going, maybe I need to look at a plan B. How does someone do that? Just drop you, and just stop all communication. But they can do that because they're not local and they haven't, built that local relationship, with the real estate community, and or the consumer. So this was good talking. Good talking here.
Well, it's really
talk of Music City,
as it should be, as it should be. So we've got some great questions here tonight. Here's the first one. It says, Monte and Carey Ann, I listen to your show every week. Thank you so much for answering our questions. I have a few. Regarding flipping a home, I didn't realize this was the topic. Regarding flipping a home, are there financing restrictions? How long do I need to hold the property? Should we stop there or should I read the whole thing?
No, that's a great question, because whether you are, whether anybody who's flipping a home, and there are some great properties that with a little TLC could make you and your family a large sum of money, and it is still of great value for the consumer, right? If done correctly. Right. So there are some great properties out there that you can still flip.
Let's pause for a second. I'm not against the person flipping homes, okay? I'm not against that.
Right.
What I am against are these large entities coming in here and talking down about the real estate professional, that they're not needed, that they're going to save a lot of money if they sell them to them. And at the same time, they're charging at least, in many cases, 3 or 4 times what we would as a local real estate firm. Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting you there. I just want to clarify, I'm not out there. If you're flipping homes out here locally and you're giving people a fair price and you're making a profit, awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, that's called free enterprise.
Yeah, and there's quite a few. I mean, we're lucky to be in an area that's got some beautiful older homes that with just a little TLC are just amazing, for so many folks. But if you are one that wants to flip a property and that the consumer that is looking at your property does need mortgage financing, there are some time restrictions. So when it comes to conventional financing, they can do that within a 30-day period. But if they look at the FHA financing, the government FHA financing, they do have to wait to write that contract 91 days after that property has once sold. So that is one thing.
Do you know why that is? Is it just somebody decided that? I mean, what was the rationale behind that?
Great question.
You don't know?
I don't know the answer.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
I thought you knew everything.
Maybe they want to pause, to make sure that the value truly is still there. They're not shocking, the local community. I don't know the answer totally, but
I'm sorry.
When it comes to FHA financing, that guideline has been set in stone for a really long time, and but a lot of folks will write contracts and understand that we as the lenders, we don't know yet until we start doing our research and figure out that property was just sold or just purchased only 30 days ago or only 60 days ago, and we just had to find that out through our own personal research. So if you are one that is looking to purchase and using FHA financing, the agent wants to make sure that they know that, yes, you probably could put a contract in, but it's basically null and void for the lender until that 91st day. So you have to rewrite it. And then we move forward at that particular time frame.
So could you not just put a closing date out to that date, then it is okay?
You still have to rewrite that contract. So
you have to rewrite the contract?
Yeah, it has to be dated.
Oh, it has to be dated after that 91st
day. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep, absolutely. So, and depending upon, the lender, and if they follow the rules specifically, that could cause some grief from an underwriting standpoint.
Sure.
So it could cause even a denial, so that you would have to start all over again.
Or they could use ribbon.
Yeah. So, but we'll pause there for a minute and kind of go back. So, if you end up using conventional financing, there's sometimes, depending upon how much you sell that property for. So, if you sell that property for more than 100% of what you purchased it for, then you do need to get 2 appraisals. So I just had another listing agent recently call me and did not know about that particular guideline. The lender did not really know that he was flipping it for over 100% of that, the previous sales price. And so 2 appraisals were not ordered early in the process. It was ordered late in the process, which delayed the closing. And so communication is really important, that we talk, that you communicate to the lender at all times, because the lender doesn't know this information. But if you do, let the lender know that, hey, I am selling it for, more than double the price, or it was just, sold just recently. So that is really good information, because the restrictions on the timing when it comes to the flipping rule is important. You want it to be a smooth process. Everybody needs to know in advance what we're looking at.
And it helps to go ahead and communicate that to it's not like you're going to slide that by anybody.
No, I mean, it's going to get caught. It's going to get caught. And sadly, sometimes it's caught at the last minute, and there's maybe a moving truck already planned, or money's already spent, and now we have a delay, right? And so you definitely can save all of the heartache if we know in advance. So, yes, great question. Thank you, Joey, for Brentwood. But flipping homes are great. You just want to make sure when the resale occurs, what proper financing you can get and what the time frame is needed. So we're going to take a short break here, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about some of these great questions. We've got one about 1099 employees. So I think this is going to be a really good question. Great information. You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, The Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here, Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team, and welcome back.
Carey Ann.
Yes.
I need to give a plug for Realty One Group Music City. I'm so proud of those guys. I got to tell you.
They're doing amazing.
You know what it's like to have an awesome team, don't you?
Yes.
You got absolutely one of the best in the country.
I'm very proud of them as well.
So I would love to help you be number one in this country. In your business. I think that'd be awesome. What do you think you'd be this time? You were 16 last year, 15 this year, wasn't it? What was the deal?
I'm not one to worry about where I am, but I would love to just work really hard every single day and help as many families.
I know it.
I'm really proud of my team. We hit a career record in the month of July and helped over 80 families purchase real estate. So it was an amazing, amazing month that we had, just shy of $20 million. So that was the biggest month that we ever have. And to be in local Middle Tennessee, where your average loan size, is in the mid-2s. So I'm really proud of them. And Realty One Group does an amazing job here. I mean, are we close to the year mark lately? When are we going to hit our anniversary? Or did we just open this company?
We just... We'll be
Where is time going?
Well, I know. We'll be a year old in November 1st.
Yeah, so it's coming up.
We have about 72, 74 agents now with us, something like that. What's cool about that group, though, is they're already responsible for doing $152 million in productivity.
Amazing.
In the last 12 months. So I'm proud of them. But I want to give a shout out to Realty One Group Music City. I love you guys. You're awesome. Thank you so much for being part of the most passionately referred real estate company in Tennessee. Thank you for that.
They're truly, you have created a culture that is very family-like. So I feel comfortable and just like a sister in that group, So
everybody loves you. Everybody loves you.
It's a good group. So we were talking about flipping properties, which I think is a good one. And Joey went on to ask another part of his question here. So what is his question?
Is now a good time to get into rentals? Would you use a management company or personally manage? Is a single family home better for rental, townhome, or condo? What type of financing restrictions are there for investment homes, and what is the required minimum down payment?
Great
questions,
question.
Joey.
Yeah. I mean, I think you always say, what's the right time to buy real estate?
All the time.
All the time. Yeah. Now's the best time to buy real estate. So, and when you are dabbling into investment, I mean, they say gain wealth through real estate. That's exactly what you want to do. Every time I make a real estate purchase, it goes haywire and it does not work in my benefit. So I've realized that real estate stresses me out more than makes me any money. But it is, if you are one that wants to do their education and doesn't want to over leverage themselves and really start to think 2 steps ahead with all of that, this is a great time to buy, rental properties for sure.
Well, I think, again, it goes back to, I owned about 10 rental properties, and I self-managed them. And that was where my mistake was at.
Oh, right.
Instead of turning them over to, like the gentleman we had here, a few months ago, Scott, or in our own company now, we have a property management company led by Dina. That's, I think, the key is to have that third party, because that third party can stay objective.
Sure.
They don't have to listen to the sad story or whatever, and they can make it really very just pay the rent on time and take care of the property, and not be a sucker for a. They
take the frustration or the worry or the stress out of the whole transaction for sure.
Correct.
Yeah. So what is the financing required, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not prepared to pay cash and you need mortgage financing, you can purchase an investment property with as minimal as 15% down on a conventional.
I thought it was 20%.
Yep. So 15 is allowed.
Okay.
But again, if you're over 20%, you are required to have mortgage insurance. So you can do 15%, but you will have the mortgage insurance piece. But you'll find that your interest rate starts to improve when you hit 20% and 25%. If you are looking at an attached property, you automatically have to put 25%. So a 2+ unit property, you're going to look at 25% or more when it comes to an investment.
Or a townhome.
Well, let me rephrase. More of a 2+ unit property. So a duplex, something like that, a triplex. There's a lot of those still around that people are purchasing. And again, if you're young and you want to figure this game out early, and I wish I did, because, and I think it's smart to be educated on this, but you could buy a duplex yourself, live in one side and rent out the other, and you can put as minimal as 3.5% down on a primary home, right? You could buy a triplex and live in one and rent out the other too with as minimal as 3.5%. So there's some great things that you can do if you start, you're young and you want to live in one of the units. And that's a great way to start gaining wealth through rentals and real estate for sure.
I personally think that on this question here, that single-family home is a better investment. But at the same time, I've known millionaires in the past that all their rentals were duplexes because they always had cash flow coming in on one side or the other, if not both sides. So I see the value in that as well. And I think one of the easiest ways to start is to buy a duplex, live one side, and have somebody else help make your payment.
Yeah, smart. And I understand, too, if you do move into that condo world, don't forget about your association fees that you have, which those could shift, depending upon, the type of home, right? So you can see that those may run from $75. I've seen some to $600 a month, depending upon, the high rises, et cetera. So you want to make sure that you're prepared, on that. I thought I was about to purchase an investment property, and I thought the numbers made sense, and they did up here in the air, right? And so when I started to figure out me getting a loan and liquidating some of my own cash, it was already making me so much money. And after doing the whole calculation, the percentage of what I was going to make on my money wasn't as much. And the concern that maybe I was buying the property too high on the higher end today versus getting that great deal today. So, just take a moment and don't get too excited without doing your homework is what I say. So
another thing I learned the hard way was when I bought my property, because I'm in the second half of life, I put them on 15-year mortgages. Cash flow wasn't important to me. I looked at it as a forced savings account, okay? So I put everything on a 15-year mortgage, and each property was probably $100 to $250 negative cash flow. It didn't bother me, then the market changed.
Right.
And the market changes, it really bothered me, So that's why I don't own all those properties now. But
well, just a great, topic just to visit about really fast. I mean, you can do a 30-year mortgage and make extra principal payments.
Right.
And so you could still it off in 15 years.
Right.
But that would allow you that flexibility for the what if, the just in case, so.
and that's exactly what I tell people now, because I thought I would, the value would be in getting the little bit lower interest rate.
Sure.
But I paid dearly for that lower interest rate because I didn't see around the corner that the economy was changing.
Right. Well, I mean, you talked about marketing earlier in the segment, right? There's another large mortgage firm that's marketing that 15-year mortgages are the way to go, right? And the rates are so low. And so that is a great option for so many people. But for the what if life does change, the economy does change, are you prepared for that rainy day? Are you prepared if the market does change? So
ever since then, everybody who's ever talked about buying a home with single family, I mean, whether it's their home to occupy or investment, I've always said, get a 30-year, purpose in your heart that you're going to make 2 extra payments a year, and you accomplish the same thing, right?
Basically, yeah. I mean, and if you don't want to overextend, if you feel 2 is too much, just try to do 1.
Yeah.
Just try to do something. My way of doing it is I just round up to the nearest 100, right? And so just I know a little bit is going to go each month away. So that's important in being prepared. So great question, Joey. Thank you so much for taking the time to write in. We've got another question here. So my husband and I both became 1099 employees recently. How many years of this type of income would we need to get financing for a new home? Are there any exceptions to the rule? This is Cassidy in Lewisburg. Thank you so much, Cassidy. Great question. We get this a lot. Or I get this a lot.
Yeah, I'll let you answer this one.
There's so many folks. We're in Music City. There's so many self-employed folks here or 1099 folks. I wish I was 1099. But there are some folks that I even met a bus driver that was driving in Williamson County receiving a W-2 and then moved to Rutherford County and receiving a 1099. So just depending upon the type of work and where you're working, you may receive a 1099 document, which basically means that you're going to get your full income, and then it's your responsibility to pay the tax when tax comes due. And so when the lenders, when the mortgage lenders are looking to calculate your income, they're looking at taxable income. So that's just that. So if you have not yet paid your taxes on that income, the lender's not able to use that. And so they're looking for a 2-year history of your taxable income. So if you are truly self-employed, they're going to look for a 2 years tax return, and they're going to take the bottom line. There's some things that they're going to add back to that bottom line, maybe depreciation, business use of home, maybe some business miles and things like that. And then they're going to take that for 2 years and average that out over 24 months to show what your true income is going to be for qualification purposes. Now, if you are someone who was that bus driver who was W-2'd but did the same line of work, now is 1099, if you can show a full 12 months on that 1099 employment, we're able to do that loan because you came in the same line of work. Attorneys that become partners, similar. If you become a partner and you work as a partner for full 12 months, because usually you're receiving a salary, that's 1099 at that point, we can then use that income. So there is an exception to the rule if you're in the same line of work. So that is important to know. If you are somebody that has had multiple self-employed jobs and then just started a new one, again, they're looking for that 24-month history. Maybe they could go as low and make the exception if it is a year and a half. So depending upon the time when you started and exactly what you're showing on your tax returns, but you're looking for taxable income. So that's important to know. And you may be able to get an exception with a audited P&L, which we're doing now recently with somebody who's self-employed. The conventional financing does allow for that. So I can take a 2018 tax return and an audited P&L and average that over a 24-month 24-month history. So to show the income. So a lot of flexibility. And if you've been if you've been self-employed for at least 5 years, you might have the opportunity to show 1-year taxes. So that helps make the flexibility of getting approved a lot easier. So great question. Thank you, Cassidy.
I always learn so much.
Good. We love that. So we're hoping to continue these questions and have you learn a little bit more. And so we're going to talk about open houses here and staying on the market maybe more than 45 days. And we'll be right back on the Talk of Music City Real Estate.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, the talk of Music City real estate.
Where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
Monte Mohr here, Realty One Group, Music City.
Hey, and Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Great to be here, Carey Ann. Love these questions. You know, I love real estate. I love what we do.
Yes.
I love helping bridge the gap of experience and non-experience, understanding and not understanding to our local real estate community and our local homeowners and home buyers. I love that.
Yes, it is.
I mean,
so good.
I love doing this. I really do.
So we've got a great question here from JP in Franklin. So our home has been on the market for about 45 days, and our agent keeps wanting to do an open house. Why should I do anything of the sort? Does that just benefit the real estate agent? I don't want a bunch of strangers just walking through my home. What is your thoughts on the topic? From JP in Franklin. Thank you, JP.
You probably wouldn't like a bunch of people walking through your house, would you? Or you be one of those people, or would you have an open house? Seriously.
So, no, I don't want anybody. And again, the plan would be to sell it, right? So I need to get over that. But, you know, you're right. Maybe I would be that person.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, there's different.
I'm not picking on you.
Do you actually sell? This is my question. Do you sell the house from the open house, or do you gain buyers from the open house?
Well, probably both. But here's my take on it after 35 years of doing this. Back in the day,
sure,
an open house was truly a waste of time. It was just simply a way that we babysat a listing and tried to show the seller we were working on it. Okay? Because in reality, the people that came through, they were just doing their due diligence. They were checking things out, whether it was getting decorating ideas or just checking things out, because we didn't have this thing called the internet back in the day.
Right.
Okay, now what we've learned in the last 5 or 6 years or so, that open houses are a great way to sell property. I mean, we believe in them. We even take the time on Monday mornings when we do our huddle call as a company to talk about the day before's open houses to see what the market is doing, because with the brain trust of having 75 agents get together on the phone call and share their experiences just in a few minutes, over that open house the day before, we can literally get a kind of a extra pulse on what's happening in the marketplace. Because a couple years ago, if you had 20 people through, you knew you were going to get probably 5 or 10 offers.
Okay.
Now you can have 20 people through and maybe not get that many offers, but still probably get some offers if things have been done right. But here's the difference. Back in the day, they were doing their due diligence. Now they're going online and doing their due diligence.
Sure.
And now they're coming to see if what they saw online is real.
Okay.
And are those pictures as grand as they look? And
right.
that's one challenge that, of course, most people know that, what's with this wide-angle lens? This room is not, 50 by 50. It's more like 10 by 10.
Sure.
How do you do that? So it really is. I think it's a great resource because it does give people a chance to come out and some folks, they don't want to be committed yet maybe to a real estate professional. They just want to come in and kind of go out as they want to and all that. So we kind of give them that space to do that. So personally, I think an open house, I encourage our agents to do open houses every Sunday because I think it's a great way to sell homes.
Love that.
And it's a great way to meet people.
So the house has been on the market for 45 days.
Yes.
Do you think that could make a difference with selling that with an open house? If they're getting showings and it's been on the market for 45 days, maybe there's something else with the home, right?
Yeah, I don't think in this situation probably that the open house is the answer. And I think, JP, we'd have to have a discussion about the price of the home. After 45 days in today's market, if your home is still sitting there, there's probably a price issue. You're probably getting the wrong eyeballs looking at it online, which translates the wrong people through the front door, which translates to you're not getting in front of the right folks. So it's probably a price adjustment, and depending on the price, we don't have that information here, but depending on the price, it probably is going to take at least, to make a difference, probably a $10,000 adjustment, or maybe more than that if it's a higher priced home.
So I heard something over this past week, which was interesting for me. And I love listening to real estate agents because I can learn so much. That, to me, I love the $1.99 at the grocery store versus the $2, right? The $249.9 sales price versus the $250. But what I was learning is that you're losing so many eyeballs on your property if you don't list it for that $250, because a lot of the online search engines may be in the 50,000 marks, right? Like automatically. So I click a button and it gets me the 2 to 250 or the 250 to 350 or something like that, right? Or I move that little needle and it doesn't give me the 499 type of thing, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's some value in that. I think the main thing is that you don't go over it. When I see a listing at, let's say, 304,
I see.
I met with an agent yesterday that when I'm interviewing agents, I'll pull up what they're doing. And if nothing else, when we're together, I hope to be able to add some value to their day.
Sure.
And this one was listed for 304. And what I shared with him is that, look, this is the conversation I would have with my seller at that point. I'd say, would you take $300,000 for your house if somebody wrote a check today? They'd probably say yes. And then I say, well, look, let's price this home then at $299.9 and be firm. Don't come down a penny. But you're going to get 10 times more eyeballs at $299.9 than you are at $304, because we all do look at homes in big blocks and $50,000 increments. Now, I think I've got also a listing of a mutual friend of ours that I priced not at $449, but I intentionally priced it at $450. Because my intention was to go over that, and I wanted to be a bolder number. The 450 is a bolder number, a more confident number than a 449.9. I mean, psychologically, I think.
So that's a whole psychological deal. Right. The other thing I heard, which I thought was neat, and so instead of saying I want a price reduction, I want a price improvement. Check that out. I love that.
That's a euphemism if I've ever heard one.
I thought that was a good one.
Boy,
doesn't that make me? I mean, I'm using that all the time. I'm improving.
I know.
So you're lowering the price, but you're basically improving the price for the buyer.
I say that all the time. I'm not getting older. I'm improving.
Yeah,
it's
better. So
when people ask you how's it going, you go, "It's unbelievable."
It's unbelievable.
It can go either way.
Absolutely. So I thought that was a good word.
Price is good. I think that's good, because it doesn't sound like you're humble in your response as far as, well, we'd reduce the price. We improved the price.
Yeah, keep it positive. That's what I say.
In which direction did you improve it, for me or for you?
For the buyer.
Oh, yeah.
Improved it for the buyer.
Improved it for the buyer. Yeah, so I think that we're getting more eyeballs, like you say, on the review of it. So I thought that was good. And again, sometimes the house is sitting, maybe not because of the price, because of an awkwardness of the home, because of that color of paint, because of so much clutter in the home. There's multiple reasons, right, that home could be sitting. But
it comes down to price.
You think it always comes down to price?
It comes down to price.
So it's interesting that you say that, because I was talking to another lady who says, she said that she knows the price was she had it right at the right price. She knows the price is there, actually probably lower than the value of the home. And she had multiple showings, and she couldn't get anybody to bite on it. And she realized that she would make a couple changes in the property and nothing was happening. She took the property off the market for just 2 weeks, had her contractor come in and shiplap a wall literally in the kitchen and change, because I guess it was a little ugly. There was something on there that was just a little uglier, with the feedback. As soon as she did that, she put the house back on the market. She got a full price offer that particular day.
Wow.
Right after. Right? So something as simple as fixing that ugly piece or actually comprehending the feedback that you're getting, right? From the listings. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that was probably a lucky timing, probably. And at the same time, I've learned the hard way, even some of my own property over the years, that a lot of folks can't see beyond the existing. Okay. It is what it is. You try to price it where it takes in consideration that it needs carpet or needs whatever, and they can't see past that. So in that scenario, I think taking it off the market and putting it back on the market probably could have created the same results, unless it really did cover something up really ugly. Okay. Sure,
because a lot of folks aren't the visionaries, right?
Exactly. That's exactly
which make it more difficult. Right. So, a lot of good questions tonight. We love our listeners. Thank you so much for always taking the time to listen to our show every Sunday evening at 5 p.m. Your questions, like you referenced, Monte, are the backbone to this show. Right. So take a moment if you can. If you're just tuning in, write those questions to questions@talkmusiccity.com. It's questions@talkmusiccity.com. We appreciate you. We're excited to have you come back next Sunday to the Talk of Music City Real Estate.